Alright, let's talk about music. More specifically, forgotten genres. In the light of millennial core taking its stride with that new parody song by Kyle Gordon, it reminds me of how a whole genre of music that myself and probably most of you had completely forgotten about, and probably for the best that we had, because the kind of how the world is at the moment, I don't think a song like Some Nights by Fun would really work anymore. Plus, I just don't trust the internet not to turn it into some kind of meme if it were released today. Like, it wasn't even that long ago that a song like this had got dropped and pretty much ran through the ground. And it seems for better or worse, genres just kind of seem to fall off. Whether the world just moves on or people stop making that kind of sound, there's multiple reasons for different genres to just disappear. Let's cover some of the most iconic though, starting with my personal favorite, ska. Ska. What a genre. It's a whole sound of music that will never truly understand a down tempo. It's a genre that's closest comparison is probably Pokemon for the fact that it's had 3 evolutions. Technically 4, but it kinda died on the 3rd one. Originated from Jamaica in between the 50s and the 60s, ska truly laid the foundations for reggae. You can hear it a lot influenced throughout its sound, but instead of it being a cruisy laid-back vibes well suited for baggy pants and long hair, you had your upbeat vibes, more suited for Hawaiian t-shirts and straight up divorced dad energy. Think Ace Ventura going through a midlife crisis. Ska had its minute to lay low, but it wasn't until it moved over to the UK that it was revived and given a new sort of sound and influenced by the punk bands and British shenanigans that were going on at the time. Ska Wave 2, or better known as Ska Part 2. This is where ska really evolved into ska. Some iconic songs that came out at the time were Ghost Town and A Message to You, Rudy by The Specials. Even Madness was dropping some bangers at the same time as well. Think It Must Be Love or One Step Beyond. With their trumpets and upbeat vibes, nothing could get more ska than that. But ska would reach its fullest potential when it made its way over to the United States of America. What up, my Budweiser patriots? Move out of the way, Nirvana. We got the real boys in town. Big real fish. It may have only really been a short run that ska had in the United States. It really took over the whole country and really influenced a lot of tracks coming out at the time. No doubt with Gwen Stefani is probably a notable band that was filled with the ska sound that we've come to know. Real Big Fish, who I've mentioned a couple of times now, was very popular at the time. Ska's just really just a fun genre, and it really had its moment to shine, but as most genres do, it was wiped out by the rising wave of hip-hop. Hell, even Gwen Stefani went from being just a girl to the sweet escape for America. Ska had a good run in the mainstream, but it's still around. It definitely didn't completely die. It is out there among the niche obscurity of that one specific genre. Ska will never truly die, but alas, we shall move on. To my next genre. I introduce to you C-Punk. C-Punk is like your aesthetic-filled genre. Think of Vaporwave. Technically, C-Punk came first and is pretty much what laid the foundation for Vaporwave. Basically starting out as a meme in 2011 on platforms such as Twitter and Tumblr, C-Punk quickly became something more as it launched into its own thing. Artists such as Little Internet coined the name for C-Punk and really started to push the way forward. C-Punk really took all these different areas of the internet and mixed it with the ocean and a nostalgia for the 90s. Unlike the other genres, I feel that C-Punk really couldn't exist without the aesthetic of C-Punk. See, that the actual sound of C-Punk is a mixed bag of what techno and EDM sounds were coming out at the time in the underground scene. Unlike Vaporwave with a very distinct sound, C-Punk didn't really have that. I mean, it kinda did, but it didn't really. You could definitely tell the difference, but it was really mixed in, and I found it hard to find what sound really defined C-Punk. Because at the time, there were artists like Little Internet, Blank Banshee, and Salava, who were all considered to make C-Punk music, but all their sounds are very different and unique in their own way, that it wasn't really an overall collective, this is just the sound of C-Punk. C-Punk was really just a combination of the underground scene of techno. Where C-Punk would find its downfall would be within its mainstream success. Rihanna did a set in front of a green screen that was heavily inspired by the aesthetic of
C-punk, and Azealia Banks kind of incorporated that whole aesthetic into her overall vibe. For shits and gigs, Young Lean even used C-punk as an aesthetic at one point. Mind you, it was before like he was mega famous, but we move. Around 2015 is when C-punk truly decided to be laid to rest. C-punk definitely exists in the internet still, and it's just kind of evolved into what vaporwave is. Really, C-punk walked so vaporwave and genres like it could really just, full-blown sprint. It's time for us to dry off from the C-punk. Let's get out of this water and move on to our next genre and our final genre of this video, gangster rap.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. I mean, one that you don't really know.
Dude, I can't even lie to you how much gangster rap was my shit growing up. I know technically it hasn't died. It's kind of a subgenre to a massive genre that is still very much relevant right now. Gangster rap was so damn influential. Like, so damn so that it even opened up another subgenre for bullies to pick on that one white kid that wanted to be Eminem. Gangster rap, gangster hip hop, or some people refer to as reality rap, boomed in the mid-80s. It served as an alternative to talk about real issues that were going on at the time, and probably still happening now. I don't really live in America, so I don't really know what's going on. But this era of hip-hop was iconic. It elevated the culture of hip-hop and birthed many artists that inspire artists that we listen to right now. There was a lot of people that contributed to the birth of gangster rap, but it wasn't until Schoolie D dropped his 1985 album with a song titled SPK, What Does It Mean? A track that would go on to inspire Ice-T to make that similar sound and talk about real issues and honestly, gangster shit. Tracks like 6 in the Morning and Colors, two songs almost guaranteed to get your head bopping. He may have not been the only artist to do this at the time. There was definitely a lot of artists out there, but Schoolie D and Ice-T were kind of considered the pioneers that pushed the genre forward, until a little group over in the Wild Wild West would soon push it even further in 1988. Obviously, I'm talking about NWA. Stands for Cultured Lads with Attitude. Obviously, as a white guy from Australia, I can't actually say the name, so if you want more information, I suggest you look it up. They are what many people will recognize as gangster hip hop, but it wasn't short of iconic artists from this time period. The list is kind of endless with all the big names, and it genuinely became the sound for hip hop. The most lyrical bars and flows that could literally burn your house down. They talked about real shit, the highs and lows, what was going on. Every artist had their own style, and every state had their own sound. It was kind of crazy. It even had white guys arguing who was better, Biggie or Tupac. If I'm gonna be honest, I'm playing the middle ground here, but I listen to Biggie Smalls just a little bit more. The early 2000s is when things changed though, as new artists started to break out and the alternative sound for hip hop became more prominent. The hip hop is still the mainstream sound. Like, I'm sure if you go to the radio right now, there's 40 hip hop tracks playing, but it's definitely not the same as what it used to be. Not saying that what we have now is bad, and not saying what they had back then was better, but you can definitely hear a distinct difference in both formats of, the hip hop sound. Gangster rap didn't exactly die. I feel like it's just kind of evolved into what the sound for drill is nowadays. Aside from the beats, drill still carries that vibe of talking about real shit and, being a gangster. In conclusion, there is a lot of subgenres out there, a lot of genres and songs that are lost to time, and if I'm being honest, you should go back and listen to them. There's so much unheard music and so much music that deserves to be heard. But that is pretty much all I have off the top of my dome here today. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. We're almost at 100 subscribers, so any like and any sub would be greatly appreciated. But that is all I have here, so goodbye.